What is up, everybody? Welcome into the Fantasy Chopping Block, your favorite Guillotine Fantasy League episodes there are. How are you guys out there today? My name is Sean, aka Sklem, not Schlem. Don't listen to Trevor, it's Sklem. I'm here today with my good buddy Jojo. How you doing, Jojo?
It's a pretty good week. I'm not gonna lie. It's a good week and season long. Good Monday night in props. Okay in cash on DFS, just okay. But overall, peachy.
There you go. Awesome, man. Yeah, I had a decent week myself. With the exception of a few leagues, I did okay. I had one league that was kind of down to the wire, and we were literally back and forth all night with Travis Kelce versus Kareem Hunt. And I ended up pulling it out just thanks to the TEP aspect of the league. I ended up pulling out the last minute 2 points over him, thanks to Kelce and those couple of catches right before Kareem ran that touchdown in. So if that didn't happen, I would have been screwed by that touchdown. I was super concerned, like sit there, refresh, just waiting for that to kick in to make sure it didn't get me. But they got it, man. So luckily I survived.
So you just so the record straight, and the record shows that you were rooting for a Chief.
I know. It was brutal. But
I just have to make sure that's known.
If I have to root for a Chief, though, man, I have to say Travis Kelce would be the guy.
With this Bills background, that Bills shirt on, you were rooting for a Chief. Man, well, Bills Mafia. Get to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Got to, bro. I mean, hey, when it comes to fantasy, man, sometimes you have to put those hatreds or allegiances aside, depending on the situation, right? But I'll never root for a Bills loss in order to get a fantasy win. That I will never do. If they're sitting there and I'm one touchdown away from victory in fantasy, and we're one touchdown away from losing from the same player, I will never root for that player to get the touchdown. I promise you that. Oh, man. What's up, Cheeky? How you doing out there, my friend? Hopefully you didn't get knocked out this week. We're going to find out here in a minute. But, I didn't.
Chop. What's up, man?
I mean, I had the good fortune of being pretty safe early on in the Sunday round of games. So I didn't really even have to worry about the Guillotine League, the only one I'm left in now at this point, too much. So, I was a little bit more concerned about what happens with the Triathlon League. I know you were probably right there with me because we all thought that we were done last week, and then
I thought I was done, so I didn't even really look at my roster until it was too late.
It's so funny. I feel like that parent who didn't know that their kid was enrolled in a sport. You know what I'm saying? Like the wifey enrolled the kid in a sport, and you didn't realize it until you had to take him to practice one day, and you're like, "Wait a minute, how long have they been playing soccer? When did this happen?" It's kind of like how I felt when I found out that I was off by a week on my thing. It was one of those like the ending of this week, not the beginning of the next kind of a thing, so I just got off by 1 week, but it's okay though. I'm back on track now with where we're at, and I know the practices are coming and everything, so I'm good for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
But anything else exciting happened for you? Did you have any close calls or anything that kind of snuck up on you here at the end with this crazy game that we just had?
No, I actually had I had a really good week in the season-long redraft, Ballsville and outside of Ballsville. I had a lot of things wrapped up going into even Sunday night. So,
right? Did you keep an eye on the Triathlon League? Did you see? Well, do you know your situation at this point, or?
Oh yeah, I already knew. Yeah,
Are you toasty? Because I haven't even looked yet. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't looked at the actual final outcome. I was actually gonna save that for last on our podcast so that we give it a time to update potentially before we get to that league, and we could have it kind of like ready to roll by then.
No problem. But I mean, Alex posted in the league an hour ago.
Oh, so we already know.
Yeah, you know my fate.
That's Alex for you. That's so funny. He's like, dude, because he was supposed to be on with us today. Full disclosure, guys, he was supposed to be on with us today, but he just could not hang in there. It's busy season for him at work, and he like literally was like texted me and was like, I just can't make it, man. My eyes are like falling out right now, closing on me on a regular basis here. I can't stay up. I'm like, dude, I get it, brother. Just go to sleep, work tomorrow, be healthy. We can do this another time. So thankfully, JoJo jumped in last minute to help out for us. Kind of like one of those commercials, called in the backup, and here he is, doing a better job than the original.
Dude, that's kind of what I'm doing in real life, dude. Let's be real. My mom, my kid's mom, my wife, goodness gracious, is the starter, right? I'm the backup quarterback. I'm the sub. So I mean, I'm playing the role through and through here.
I gotta ask, since you say that, I gotta ask. It's not fantasy related at all, but it's just something I've always been curious of. So, after how long do you start calling each other mom and dad because the kids are doing it so dang much that it just kind of becomes more natural for you to say that rather than their name?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we say it all the time. Like, just oh, you want to go to mommy, like go to mom, like like or ask your mom or
Right,
something
like
like
how
that.
you just right now called her mom because it's kind of just like
Essentially,
in
yeah,
your
that's
mind.
kind of what
Like,
happens. Yeah, we say it a lot. So
I know, right? I feel like it happened to my parents at a certain point in time where maybe it's just because they were my parents and all they would say was mom or dad around me. But, I always remember them calling each other that so much that I don't even think their names were their first reference when they would talk to each other. It was
yeah,
usually mom, dad, hey, mom, what do you want for dinner today? Hey, dad, what are you going to do with that laundry? Like that kind of crap. So I don't know if that happens for all parents or not because I'm not a parent, so like I have no opinion. So I figured that you being a dad, you might have some sort of an idea on how that if that actually is the case, or am I just being a kid thinking his parents are talking like that?
yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's also pet names for other people, other couples out there, and you
Right?
know,
Yeah,
all that
right.
stuff.
That's
Nicknames.
another thing too that gets me is like, what's up with people not wanting to be called grandma or grandpa? Like I feel like that's an earned title that I'd be proud to get. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not.
Yeah,
Don't be calling me though like stupid little random nickname or something. Like Peepaw or some crap like that. Nah, I'm grandpa. Yeah. Like, I think it's people are scared to be considered old, so they just don't want to be called grandma or grandpa anymore.
maybe. Yeah.
Since we got off on a completely random tangent that has nothing to do with fantasy football, let's try to get ourselves back on track. What do you say?
Well, we can do that. Yeah, we can always talk about whatever, though. That's why this is the chopping block.
Yeah, right. That's what we're here. We're here to
Anything
just
is on
chop
the
it up.
block to be discussed.
Uh, all right. So I wanted to do something a little bit different this week because we are getting close now where we're down to, I want to say it's like 10 teams left in each league now or something close to that. So we're going to go through and look at these leagues a little more, a little more in depth on what went down. And I'm actually going to go backwards because I kind of feel bad for the Braveheart League. They've always been at the tail end of the discussions. I feel like we're kind of feeling rushed by the end of the pod because I'm such a long-winded dumbass that I can't get through everything in time. So I'm going to go ahead and switch things up so we can spend a little bit more time on Braveheart today. And if we get rushed, it'll be on the league I'm in. So I'll take the hit.
Wow, man,
That's
what a
it.
guy! Everybody here, what a guy Sean is right here.
I try to do what I can do when I can do it, and this is just one of those things I felt like was an easy thing for me to do and it could help out a ton of people. So why not? So let's go ahead and get started with the Braveheart League, huh? So this was my team. Shut up, Sean. No one cares. That was a nickname from a while back. I think it was a discussion happening during the draft that created that, and that team didn't go anywhere. So no one really did care. It's been empty for a very long time. So me and Trevor have been staring at this league every week, going in here to take care of all the stuff for you guys. And our two teams are right at the top with no rosters, and it drives us insane every time we look at it. But this because this is a good league. I mean, look at these scores right now across the board on this league. I think we only had two teams that did not score up over 100 points in this point. So
Yeah.
we're basically at that point. Once that extra flex came on board and our rosters got deeper, we're at a point now where I think you got to be at least a 120 to even feel comfortable. You know
Yeah,
what I
for
mean?
sure.
Based on what else is going on around the league, but it's almost to that point now where you're looking at scores that you're used to seeing on a full size roster. You know,
I'm just
so
still shocked that Pac-Man Extreme Experience is still alive. I still can't believe it.
I know after everything, he is still going strong this deep into it. He's only 1-7 on his record too, which tells you that he's barely sneaking by on a regular basis. But that doesn't matter in Guillotine. That's all you got to do, right?
All
Because
you
you
gotta
can
do is
continue to
survive,
build
baby.
your team. And so what I want to do here actually too is I want to kind of go through and actually kind of look at some of these teams here and really get an idea on some of the players that are on these squads for us. Okay, so we got this guy here. He's sitting with $96 left in Fab. It's a fob. I'm gonna keep saying fob just to mess with you guys. But so I think he's got a decent enough roster. I would be able I mean, with that much money left at this point, I
You
think
want to
he
share
is.
your screen, or do you want me to share the screen?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Jojo. I thought honestly this whole time I thought it was short. I was sharing it with you this whole time.
Well, it's all
I'm so
good.
glad.
It's all good. I was following along. I have my second screen up. So I mean, guys, if you always see me looking over, it's because I have my screen over here. So I
Oh,
want to
that's
make
so
sure that
funny.
everyone
And
knows.
that's what I do too. I stare at my second monitor. So they're probably like, why are you looking off to the left and just talking about something we can't see, you idiot? All right. Shut up, Sean. No one cares, right?
Hey, Shiki, you can always call us out too. By the way,
Feel free, my friend. Yeah,
feel
audience
free. Feel
interaction will
free.
help keep me on track just as much. So, but he's got a decent squad, man. I think looking at his team, I would say his second quarterback is definitely in the running. So I would go that route for sure if I was him and attack that position at this time, being that he's probably one of the most amounts of money. And I think he needs a little bit of depth at running back, and it looks like he could use another receiver. Let's double check his receiver depth. Yeah, so that's where I would target those three positions if I was him.
Kind of
He
needs a
lost.
receiver. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, he lost Diggs. That was his biggest. That's a
yeah.
downfall so far. So, being that he has the money, though, he could get a couple of solid players without having to really pay a ton for him at this point. So, one of the things I would really like to do if I'm able to, is organize this by their actual fob. But it doesn't look like on the desktop crap version of Sleeper it's going to allow me to do that. So we're just going to have to walk through it one by one, which actually I'll do on the matchups so we can kind of get an idea on where they're at here.
Yeah.
We'll have to go back and look at FOB here in a second, but this will give us a good idea. These are two teams here.
For Chiefs. Yeah.
Isaiah just snuck by. Oh, by the way, guys, look at his score at 90.10. He, I think, won by less than a point. It's less than a point.
Did.
So it's definitely a really, really close call for him. And he barely, by the skin of his teeth, made it through the week. And if you look at his team too, I mean, that would be a team that you would be salivating to have available for you on the wire. You got Josh Allen, Breece Hall, Derrick Henry, Marvin Harrison, Mark Andrews, Nick Chubb, Keon Coleman, Eckler. Every one of those guys is rosterable. Debo, J-Mo, like those are some really, really good players. So he's like, the rest of the league was praying that this guy would be the one that got knocked out based on that roster alone. So I definitely think he's in good position moving forward now that he survived. Chiefs Life also has a pretty solid setup. Hurts, Monty, Cook, Brown. We don't know what's going to happen with his injury, but we'll see if he has the depth to cover that here as we scroll down. Wilson, Ertz, Dell. So there's a receiver there to back him up. Aaron Jones, Javonte Williams, and then he's got a couple of decent receivers on his bench. He's got Hopkins, Metcalf, Addison, and Dobbs. So along with Tucker Kraft as a backup tight end. So he's sitting pretty as well. So, both those rosters are looking pretty solid between those two guys right there. So Isaiah, you are sneaky lucky. You look at 89.22, 90.10. That's less than a point. That is unbelievable luck right there to sneak by. Let's hope there's no stat corrections or anything that adjust that. That would be really horrible for me. I'm going to have to go through something that happens like that. But, we'll cross that bridge when it comes, right?
Yeah, 100%. We'll see when the lightning strike, or I guess when the clock strikes 12, so to speak. I think it's usually around 9:30ish on West Coast.
Yeah. Let's look through these two guys' rosters real quick. You got Cash has a good roster, I think, too. He's here with Daniels, Bijan Robinson, Josh Jacobs, Malik Neighbors, Cooper Kupp, Trey McBride, Cedric Tillman, Michael Pittman, who disappeared. I don't know what's going on with him. Jordan Love, Mason, which we don't know how that's going to work out now with McCaffrey's scheduled to come back. But he's got Higgins, Smith, and Jigba, and Kincaid on his bench. So he's got some good depth at receiver. It looks like he could probably use a running back. So I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't attack that position. We're going to have to look at his fob.
Well, Cash has nothing. He's out of fab.
Is he? Okay, so if you could catch on to the fab for these guys while I'm talking, that'd be awesome, Jojo. That would help me.
Yeah, he can make a trade. I think he's got good running back depth. To be honest, I mean, what you said about Pittman, last week, man, it's all about Josh Downs. He's the alpha there. I mean, depending on how they want to deploy, how Seattle wants to deploy their targets moving forward. Because JSN's had two spike weeks so far. I think they can get him more involved even with DK on the field when he's coming back. So you
I
might have a
wonder if
replacement there.
we could Lockett decline JSN step up that we all anticipated at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Because I'm
But
with
he's
you. I
got
don't
the
think
best quarterback in the game, so to speak, for fantasy at least. I think Tillman's a sell high. Obviously, he got there. Even in maybe if you could get some fab, you can probably get something for Tillman. I think the playoff schedule the rest of the way can be pretty tough and dicey for the Browns. That's just my opinion.
Tillman right now if I was him.
Huh?
I'd sell high on Tillman if I was him.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
his thing though is Bob, like he needs to trade somebody with Bob, so his targets that he's going to be looking for are 2 or 3 teams maybe at the most. He doesn't have the opportunity to really like try to offer up trades to guys that don't have Bob unless he wants to try to do a 2-for-1 and get like a massive upgrade and trade away a little depth. But that would be difficult to come with somebody. Like you'd have to find the perfect partner for that type of trade.
Yeah.
PMax Slingshot, our buddy, he's sitting here with a roster that has been like overperforming weekly. That's continued to keep him alive. He's got Darnold, White, Pollard, Ridley, Mooney, Conklin, DJ Moore, DeAndre Swift, Brock Purdy, Xavier Worthy, Xavier Legette, and Tyler Lockett. And that's his entire roster. He has no depth at all because he's got 3 empty roster spots. So he definitely hasn't been managing like a manager should manage, but he's surviving. So I can't hate him for it. But yeah, I don't know how much longer that team will last.
Dude, it's unreal how he survived this long.
Yeah, how much FOB does he have right now? Because I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't have all of it still. Even the extra 65.
He barely used any of it. He has where is that? He still has 167.
So he hasn't used a single dollar because I gave him $67 for Tyreek Hill in the beginning of the season. So
no, that means he's used 100, right? Because isn't it 267?
Didn't we only start with? Yeah, maybe he has used 100. I guess I thought we started with 100 for some reason. Maybe I'm getting it confused with the.
Well, Popov has 200, so that's why.
Yeah, no, I'm getting it confused with triathlon. My bad.
Yeah. And Tortoise was the first one to get eliminated. He has 200, so yeah.
Yeah. So you guys,
Tortoise, I have to remind you that you got chopped first. Such is life,
right? B. Bennett and Team GLC, they actually had the 2 highest scores, knocking boots against each other here too. So that was a pretty fun matchup for them to probably stare at. They both got good rosters. We got Goff, Connor, Jefferson, Flowers, Otten, Dowdle, Judy, Benson, Guerrero, Singletary, Tucker, Thielen, Pickens, and Ferguson. That's on B. Bennett's roster. How much Bob does he have available?
Which one?
B. Bennett, RBS.
Bennett. Come on, Bennett. Where are you at? Oh, Bennett's out, and GLC has 128.
So GLC's got good money. So let's look at his roster real quick. He's got Burrow, Stevenson, Walker, Chase, Adams, Bowers, Reed, Jaden Reed, Lad McConkey, and then on his bench he's got Kyler Murray, Alexander Madison, Zach Moss, who's probably getting dropped, Brian Robinson, Jalen Warren, Noah Brown, and Josh Palmer. So he's got a
decent running back. Yeah,
he does because of loss. That's funny. Pun not intended.
He's got a really stout roster. I think he could be a contender if he continues to, use that fab the right way. Because he has a lot of power right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, our last team to go over real quick is C-Bomb, and he has a decent enough roster. Look up his FOB there for Connor and let us know what his FOB is as I read through his roster.
Yeah, he's only has $2 left, 2 shekels.
So he's basically toast. So this will be his roster unless he gets free dudes, pretty much. So he's got Caleb Williams, Alvin Kamara, J.K. Dobbins, Terry McLaurin, Chris Olave, Cole Kmet. I think the Devontae Smith is going to be a really big play for him moving forward with what's happening there with A.J. Brown, Devon Achane, Patrick Mahomes, Tua Tagovailoa, Mike Evans, Deontay Johnson, Puka Nakua, George Kittle, and T.J. Hawkinson. So he's definitely
Okay,
sitting.
spot.
Really need to make a lot of moves if he stays healthy.
Yeah,
Should
his
be.
biggest thing is health right now because it's there.
Mhm.
Olave, Komet like has fallen off the face of the earth. Caleb is untrustable. I mean, I would probably rely on Mahomes and Tua once the format changes more than anything. He's probably hoping Mike Evans comes back for the stretch run. Puka's got to stop punching defenders in the face. But Devontae Smith should help and keep him afloat week to week, along with Puka. So
Yeah,
I think he's in an okay spot. I think he's in an okay spot here.
yeah,
Oh,
absolutely. I totally agree. I think that out of all the teams that we just walked through on this scenario right now, I do believe that that was the best squad. Even though he's only got $2 left, I think that he's sitting in a good position right now as long as his health can stay okay on his players.
I like GLC's team. Burrow, Kenneth Walker, Jamar Chase, Tay, Bowers, Jaden Reed, McConkey. I do think he has I think that's a really stout roster, top to bottom. But yeah, I like that team too. And plus, he's got Fab, so I think he's in a better position.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm pulling this up on my phone so I can actually sort it based on their actual fob, so I know who has got how much. And if we scroll down here and we look at the right players here with the ones that, not including the ones that are eliminated, it looks like the one who has the most right now and is still alive is
His extreme experience.
What's that?
Extreme experience, right?
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Extreme experience. Yeah, because he's so much higher up there. I forget that he's not eliminated yet. Since he still has all that fob, he's up there with all the guys that have been eliminated for a while. But yes, he's the one with the most at like 167. But you drop all the way down from there, you're looking at
GLC.
Spartan with
GLC
with
is 128. Yeah.
Spartan with 96. So those three guys right there should be able to really stack their rosters this week based on what we're looking at here. So that's definitely a good setup for them. I think they're going to be in a good position to really make a move here because this is the week, in my opinion, that is like right about where you're ready to see everything play out the way it should. You know what I mean? Like you're starting to see like, okay, I've been saving my money. This is the week that I'm going to be able to come in here and actually, make a move, get a bunch of players for a good amount of money here and still have like basically control of the fob from the rest of the time forward. So you'll see it plays out a little differently in the next couple of leagues too, where the fob's at compared to where the teams are that are left. It's a lot closer on the rest of the three leagues that we're looking at. So it's going to be interesting to follow that as we play through.
We got Kyron on the block because El Super Biesto, if it all holds up, is dropping some guys like Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, and Tyreek Hill. Drake London, Kyle Pitts. There's some good names on there that can help rosters, but those running back needy teams, Kyron's definitely going to be what warrants the fab coming here.
Yep. Yeah. And I didn't pull up El Super Biesto's team yet because he is the eliminated team. So I was waiting to give him a little bit of, our friendly little banter that we love to do to the eliminated teams. And we are going to give him a good old salute because you are out of here, buddy. Goodbye. No one likes you in our league anyway. Ha-ha. You can't come in the clubhouse anymore. Yeah, cheers to that. Here, pour one out for the dead homies. Don't worry, you're sitting in the clubhouse with me now. We're both in the Outsiders Clubhouse. There's so many of us now. We created our own club. But so he's going to be giving up Dak Prescott, Jonathan Taylor, Kyron Williams, two solid players there, Tyreek Hill, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Wan'Dale Robinson, Chase Brown, who's instantly now a good solid player, CJ Stroud, Braylon Allen, Raheem Mostert, Tajay Spears, Brian Thomas Jr., Jacoby Myers, and David Njoku. So that entire roster, with the exception of about 3 or 4, will probably go for at least $1 or should. So it's going to be a pretty interesting bidding cycle in this league. I mean, as you can see, poor El Super Biesto just spent a bunch of money to get Drake London, and then the guy gets one touchdown and gets hurt and misses the rest of the game. So he ended up, in a bad position there, especially, let's see, the next closest bid was 35. So he even slightly overpaid too. So he got like the triple whammy since he got knocked out. It's kind of the boom, 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 It's just like Spartan picked up Khalil Shakir for $33, which looks like a solid pickup this week. Might have been feeling like a bit of an overpay at the time, but definitely paid off for him. He paid overpaid by about $20. It looks like.
That's a wild bid for Shakir.
Yeah, it was a pretty extensive bid, especially knowing Devontae went for 21 right below him.
Yeah.
So that's definitely not. I would like the reverse option of that. I think is the value anyway.
Even someone winning him for 19 is kind of a high if GLC got him, but it's all good.
Yeah. I mean, there was some solid steals throughout this week too. You had Najee went off the board for only $10. Madison went for 8. Brian Robinson going for 8 is probably the steal of the pickup of the group, in my opinion. That's a solid pickup right there for $8. So there's only 2 bids on him too. So that surprises me with how much money there is left out there for these guys. Cole Kmet went for $5. Joe Burrow went for 4. The thing that really freaks me out about this pickup is the guy he dropped, Matthew Stafford. That's a brutal drop now that you see the way he's playing with his guys back.
Well, Joe Burrow did go off, so I guess it's not too bad, and he only got him for $4. I mean, GLC did. I think obviously he got a lot of players. Oh, he got what 1, 2, 3, 4 players for 12, 20, $41. He got Tay Adams, Alexander Madison, Brian Robinson, and Joe Burrow for $41 combined. So, I mean, props to you, man.
Yep.
You also had one of the better scores of the week. So, good stuff.
Yeah, that was solid, man. I mean, we had a couple of good aftermarket pickups too. You got Jordan Love going off the board for free. I think that's a solid pickup. I know he's been struggling a little bit, but I mean, that's when you're getting to the super flex playoffs and this stuff here. You're getting a really good pickup right there of a quarterback that could run you right through the championship if everything works out. So that's a solid pickup there. I think Cedric Tillman for free is a solid pickup. These are both players that we just talked about him being broke. He could easily utilize as a trade scenario to try to pick up a little more fob or upgrade, a 2-for-1 deal to get an upgrade on a good player for somebody who needs depth. So you have another good pickup with Tucker Kraft, and then looks like the rest of them, Rico Dowdle, I think is a nice pickup for free. But I don't really see a whole lot of other. I don't like
this crazy though, because I try to trade out Rico for the past I want to say the past month. Ever since that, I think it was a Sunday night game against Pittsburgh, and no one's wanted him. And then he shows out again because we had that surprise inactive last Sunday night. And then also the other player I was trying to part ways with was JSN. And literally I had him offered up in virtually every league I'm in. And Sean, you know how many leagues I'm in. There's a lot of leagues. And I had him in a lot of leagues too. No one wanted him, but I guess no one knows ball. That's all I got to say. Rico goes off again. JSN goes off for almost 40. I think a lot of people just need to reevaluate their process a little bit more and stop looking at box scores too much and pay attention to what's going on. But hey, I'll be happy to keep him though. Now I might raise my price if I want to part ways with him after that.
Yeah. No, it's funny because I actually had a deal in place in one of my leagues to pick up JSN, and I backed up the last minute because I wanted it to be a part of a 2-player deal or a 2-trade deal. Like I needed another trade to happen in order to be comfortable with that trade, and that other trade didn't happen, so I backed out of the trade that I had already previously had in place with the guy. And then it came back to bite me because JSN obviously blew up this week. And, the guy that I traded away, I think it would have been Jaden Reed would have been the guy left in the trade, which, I mean, Jaden Reed has got that boom or bust scenario, but he's been more bust than boom lately. So I don't know if that would have been such a bad move looking at it now. There was 2 other players involved in the deal too, 2 quarterback swap as well, but that wasn't really a big deal to me. The more part of it for me was I was worried about the swap with JSN and Reed, and then looking at it now, I think I'd be comfortable with that.
Yeah, I'd still think because it's still unsure. I'm still unsure of how JSN's going to perform with DK. He hasn't really been a focal point. Whereas Reed is kind of the guy to own in Green Bay. So I'd probably still side with Reed's side, but after that performance,
Reed is the guy to own in Green Bay. I mean, it seems like it's almost like there isn't really a guy to own there at all. It seems like it's just with 1 week it's this guy, another week it's this guy kind of a scenario right now, and it's really hard to play any of them with any kind of expectations of a higher floor.
No, that's fair. That's fair. It's just, I mean, I'd still side with Reed at the moment, even after a spike week of JSN.
Are you comfortable playing him though? Like, do you want to play Reed if you have him now? Like, say you got good depth at receiver. I know Reed felt like a must start up until like now or so. Would you consider sitting him now if you have deep enough roster?
I mean, it depends on my options. It always depends, and I always look at matchups, and like I kind of look at that
I know
first.
you're a receiver guy, so I know you've got deep rostered receiver teams out there. Are you sitting him on those teams at this point?
No, on the Reed teams I had him, I played him. I mean, I thought it was still a plus matchup going against the Detroit secondary. There's a lot of young guys on the corner at cornerback, and
I think he only got what, like the one touchdown and about 50 yards or something like that. I want to say somewhere in that range, right?
Reed.
Yeah,
I didn't even know if
I
he
think
got in the box. Did he get in the box?
I believe he did.
I
I
mean, like,
believe he got in
yeah, he
one.
got. He didn't get in the box, no. But he got 5 for 113. So
Oh, he got the yardage. He didn't get the
yeah,
touchdown. Okay.
yeah. I mean, he's on the field a lot next to Dobbs. He's always on the field. He's the second guy that probably runs the most routes, but he's been kind of more of the clear number one in that offense, if you will.
So let me ask you then, like, who would you rather have rest of season right now, him or Tyreek Hill?
Oof, I mean, I still start with Tyreek Hill, man. I think he's going
I
to go
know
off
it's so hard to
somewhere.
not. It's so hard not to, right?
Yeah,
It's so
I
hard.
mean, you gotta go with the the pedigree there, over Reed for sure. And plus, obviously next week they're on bye, so
Yeah, that always makes a difference in these leagues for sure. So yeah, all right. So all right, Braveheart, we gave you guys a lot of love today because we wanted to make sure we made up for some of the short terms that you guys got before. So El Super Biesto, we'll have to keep an eye on you, man. 89.22. That's close, man. That could be the team. That could be our El Turd team of the week. So we're gonna have to figure that out here as we roll through, but we'll keep an eye on it. We're not going to include the other league for that, by the way, guys. We said it last week too. We're not going to do the triathlon for the third team of the week because that's just not fair to the triathlon with the rosters they have. But all right, let's move into the next league. This is our 18 heads of the duffel bag league. Again, the league that I am no longer a part of, begrudgingly. But you can see this league also had some really good scores in it. I'll run through real quick and look through these guys. We've got K Doggy Dog. That he's still sitting strong. He got 130 this week. He's sitting with Jordan Love, James Conner, Chase Brown, Garrett Wilson. Good setup right there so far. AJ Brown is unfortunately out now, so we'll see how that plays out. He's got Terry McLaurin as another receiver, though, available in the flex. He's got Kate Otten at tight end, so that's definitely looking good. Keon Coleman in as his flex, which we'll see how that plays out. Keon is, if you guys aren't aware, Keon got hit in the arm on that Jordan Poyer targeting hit. So he's got a forearm thing. They got a test done today. We'll get more information tomorrow. And, I usually get a little text message anytime there's something. So I'm sure there hasn't been any information yet because I ain't got text on it. But I promise you, I will let you guys know when I do, probably on tomorrow's episode. But his bench is Caleb Williams, Tyrone Tracy, Brian Robinson, Jalen Tolbert, Wandell Robinson, George Pickens, and Dalton Kincaid. So, and that's a pretty good roster there, man. What do you think, JoJo?
yeah. Again, Chase Brown, like you mentioned in the last league, for the foreseeable future, when you got a running back with a neck injury, Chase Brown might be the bell cow moving forward. He obviously showed out, but he got Baltimore, I think, on a short week. I think he banged up his rib. I think he practiced today anyway, so I don't think there's anything to worry about as far as him playing in full. It wasn't even. I think it was like a limited. I think it was early report is limited, but I think they upgraded him to full practice. So, but yeah, I like Chase Brown a lot. The whole team got a lot of depth. Obviously, he got a little dinged up with AJ Brown, but I think he's got enough to kind of make sure he stays afloat moving forward.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. And just real quick, well, let's go check on his fob here and see what he's got for fob wise. I definitely think that he's probably with that roster. He's probably spent some money at some point in time. It looks like he's sitting currently with here we go right here.
Yeah, I don't see this league because I'm not in it. So
Yeah, no problem here. I'm just pulling it up on my thing. He's actually got $0 right now, so that explains his depth on his roster. So he's gonna have to sit with that roster and make in order to get any more guys, or just wait till the free guys are there and try to hit it at the right time. So, but it's a good roster. So I don't think he's got too big of a concern right now, unless he gets another injury, especially the receiver. That's where I would be most concerned. So this is our good buddy Connor, still alive and strong in this one. And then here's our buddy Cheeky, our guy in the audience right now, sitting here watching us talk about one of his squads. We've got excuse me. We'll start with Cheeky. Cheeky has Josh Allen, Ken Walker, Saquon Barkley, Lad McConkey, Drake London, Travis Kelce, Cedric Tillman, Bucky Irvin. That's his starting roster for this week. And then on his bench, he had Drake May, Dak Prescott, who's, that's another injury issue this week. We had a lot of those, it sounds like. Devin Singletary, Jordan Whittington, Wicks, and Cole Kmet. So he's definitely got some depth issues on this roster. But he might be sitting okay. He is sitting okay with $51, so he should be able to snag some decent amount of players right now with a good amount of change left. So he can build that depth. C-Bomb has got Murray, Kamara, Achane, Chase, Jaden Reed, David Njoku, Michael Pittman, and Jacoby Myers were his starters this week. On his bench, he's sitting with 2 QBs in Tua and Lawrence, and then he's got Mostert, Justice Hill as his running backs, Xavier Legette, Amari Cooper, and Sam Laporta on his bench. So out of those two rosters, things stand out to you? I mean, to me, I definitely see some depth with C-Bomb as far as his actual roster is concerned. I would be Laporta, Cooper, Legette. I like those 3 depth. I think running back he needs. That's his.
Go back to the top though.
He's only got the 2.
He's big on Achane like me, so Achane, man, like he is just a monster when it comes to fantasy. The workload for his carries are never going to be super high, except for that one primetime game. I think it was a Thursday night. I think it was the game that Tua got hurt, week 2, week 3 or something, where he had like 23 carries. Other than that, like the extension of the run game that they give him is just unreal. And that's all you need for a PPR format. Like the guy's an RB1. It's nuts.
Yeah, exactly. And Cheeky, I know you said that you're actually sitting low on FOB, but to be honest, man, I see you sitting here at $51 right now. And to me, I think that, looking at this, it looks like you are at actually 4th right now in overall FOB. And the guy who's right ahead of you at first is only 59. So there's 4 of you guys that are $8 difference there. So you're basically in first with the FOB at this point. And, you're going to have an opportunity to get some guys. I would approach this as I wouldn't go crazy with one specific player. I would do, low ball bids on all the guys. And then, you'll probably get 1 or 2 of them because somebody else is going to spend crazy. So I would definitely approach it that way this week. Maybe
you were saying that because he's in Braveheart. He has 42 in Braveheart. So I think that's where you meant. But
he might have meant that. I think. Oh, okay. Yes, you're right, Cheeky. I see that now. That was the last league. So in this league, I see you're sitting pretty decent though. So I think you're going to be able to get some solid players here. That's kind of how I would do it. But you're welcome to approach it however you'd like. But that's
also, dude, the fact that you're also in both leagues and you're still alive, man. Props, big ups. Hope you take it down.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's awesome. So the group that we have in this one, we've got Chiefs Life 13, who's another one who's in multiple leagues still. Good for him. And 760 side, that's my boy right there. Good job, brother. So they're both killing it right now. Let's see. Let me look at their FOB real quick just to give us an idea. Chiefs Life is sitting with 50, so he's one of those guys that's right up there with Cheeky. And then as far as 760 side, he's actually the top guy left right now with the 59. So both these guys can make some moves this week also. Let's see if their rosters really need it though, right? So as far as 760 side, he's got Goff as a starting quarterback, Henry and Gibbs in his starting running back roles, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp as his starting receivers. His tight end is solid. And then on flex, he's got Aaron Jones and Jalen Waddle currently. On the bench, he has Bo Nix, Russell Wilson, Roshan Johnson, Tyler Lockett, Stephon Diggs, who's without, so Darnell Mooney and Jordan Addison. So he's got okay depth there. And then as far as Chiefs life, he's got Baker Mayfield as a starting quarterback, James Cook,
Oh,
Lee Pollard. I can't believe I just did that on one of my own Bills
I
players.
know.
I deserve to smack myself for that one. Amon-Ra St. Brown and CeeDee Lamb are his starting receivers. Evan Ingram is his starting tight end. Tank Dell and Khalil Shakir are in his flex currently. On his bench, he's got Patrick Mahomes, Austin Eckler, Ramondre Stevenson, Tyler Algier, Jameson Williams, Zay Flowers, and Zach Ertz.
He's got a lot
So
of depth, right? He's got a really good squad top to bottom.
yeah, Chiefs life is sitting pretty, and he's got some good money, so he's going to be able to improve that roster even one more or two more steps further if he wants to. So a situation like his in this team, it's almost a little different for me. I almost might target my guy I really like and go ahead and just get 20 something bucks at him or whatever I need to make sure I get him and get that guy, because his roster's deep enough where those depth guys aren't going to be as important to him, because it's going to be hard to even beat your depth already, right? With maybe the exception of a couple of guys like a Tyler Algier, Zach Ertz maybe, but other than that, it's hard to top their depth.
Correct.
Without
Yeah.
having to buy the farm, right?
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask you your opinion on this too. Is like if you have too much depth, like you're running the risk of those who do I start decisions, and then those can sometimes bite you because you have guys that can play and that extra flex spot and things like that. So maybe even try to target a 2-for-1 with some of that depth that you do have with maybe one of your starters. So you can really upgrade a position or at least a slot. It doesn't necessarily have to be a position. You just like a roster slot, especially when you can add that to the flex. So yeah.
And since he has the actual extra fob right now, he could even target a team who's got nothing and not a lot of depth and offer them up a deal with a little bit of fob for a player to snag like a top player off of their team and give them some fob to add some depth with, and something like that could be an option. So this is a good time for him to either, one of those two options, in my opinion, either go for the guy that's on the waiver wire right now and use your fob that way, or use your fob in a player and maybe trade for like a superstar and give somebody who has no fob some fob to build some depth with and, target that right team for it. So that's how I'd approach it there, which is funny because this is a good example of, almost similar situations. If you look at the two teams at fob and as far as where we're at in the guillotine for Cheeky and for Chief, but their situations are just different enough that I would take a different approach to each situation as far as my waiver wire is concerned.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
It's definitely a really fun little kind of, litmus test for us to kind of walk through right there real quick.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for offering up some solid rosters for us to do that with. And then as far as a 760 sides roster, he's sitting pretty with fob too, and I think he's got some good depth. I would want to target probably a receiver more so for him, because I think with Diggs going out and with Jalen Waddle basically being non-existent at this point, I would probably want to target somebody to help fill some role there, especially if Lockett does take a back seat to JSN moving forward when Metcalf is back. So that would wipe out his depth pretty hardcore on that receiver position to me. So that's where I think I would go with my fob if I were him. But same deal for him. I'd do it the same way Cheeky did. And I would just go for, minimum bid, mid-level to minimum bidding, and just make sure I get at least one or two guys, but not go crazy off, get rid of my fob and hang on to that for another week.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess it also depends on what's available for him, right? Like which team is available.
Which we're going to go through here in just a minute too, and we'll find out exactly if that is the case, and then that's always going to sway your opinion too, because that might switch you from going waiver to going trade.
For sure.
It definitely is going to make or break whatever team is available. Next team that we've got on the next two teams, we got Hertz Locker and Marie Antoinette. So Hertz Locker is sitting here currently with he might be one of our low teams on the totem pole with his TB7 sticks here. Let's see where he's sitting. He's got 35 in fob, so he's not terribly bad. And then our good buddy Jimmy Wojo over here, he's got 37. So they're both sitting okay. This is one of those weird scenarios where there's about 3/4 of people left are between $19 and $50 or $59. I'm sorry, the top guy that we talked about. So that's a pretty big chunk of people. There's only one guy, K Doggy Dog, without anything left, and K Ross 24 has $2, and I have $3, and that's all we got. So those are the only three teams that have almost nothing in FOB. Otherwise, everybody's got a little bit left. So this team is definitely, which I don't think I'm in this one. So you don't even count me on this one because I'm completely out of it. So I don't even know why I brought myself up. All right, let's see if I can breeze through these a little bit because I don't want to get too long-winded. So for Mary Antoinette, Jimmy Wojo's team, he's got Burrow, Hubbard, Jacobs, Downs, Ridley, McBride, Justin Jefferson, and Kareem Hunt as his starting roster right now. On his bench, he's got Jaden Daniels, Nick Chubb, Javonte Williams, Deontay Johnson, Jerry Jeudy, TJ Hawkinson. So it's not a terrible roster. On the other side of the fence, Hertz Locker TB76 has Jalen Hurts, Joe Mixon, Alexander Madison, Cortland Sutton, Chris Olave, Jake Ferguson, DJ Moore, Devontae Smith, Kirk Cousins, Geno Smith, Jalen Warren, Tajay Spears, Alec Pierce, Dalton Schultz, and Isaiah Likely. So right off the bat, I read that off, and I don't like that depth at all. So he would definitely be somebody that I would want to be looking to make some crazy moves with. And unfortunately, he's got 35, so he's kind of right in the middle, so he can't really control his destiny when it comes to FOB. So he might need to try to float through another week before he starts getting too cray-cray. But where are you at on that?
Well, let's go down a little bit more. Okay, keep going. Okay. Yeah, I think he's gonna be in he could be on the block, so to speak, next week. Olave might be out with the injury. Madison, his starting running back right now, and it's he's like an RB2 ish. He's gonna be on bye.
Yeah, and he has no depth at that position at all with Jalen Warren and Todd Spears.
So he might have to blow the wad if he really wants to secure a spot. I mean, here's the thing. Mixon, I mean, albeit he only, he still got over 100 yards and everything last week, but he only got about 18. Is that 18 or 16 points? I can barely see it.
16.6.
Yeah. So there were some weeks where he could carry 2 roster spots, like where he goes over 30 points. But yeah, I think he might have to just blow the fab on running back if it's there. If it's a guy that is a game changer, then just secure it and lock up that position.
Yeah. I mean, he definitely needs to make some moves this week for sure. Because even if, say, Olave and Olave and who's the other guy that he just has on here? Why am I blanking on the guy that was also potentially out for him this week?
Madison.
Madison. Yeah, we wanted Madison out of the lineup. That's exactly it. Okay, thank you. But yeah, with Madison, like if you move Madison out, you got Chris Olave out, you're going to have to bump DJ Moore, Devontae Smith up. So you're going to need to play a flex and another running back. And you literally have Alec Pierce, Dalton Schultz, and that's it. There's no running back you can put in. I mean, Jalen Warren maybe, but he's been so bad this year. I don't think you can count on that. So
when does it go to Superflex? Is that for the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe it'd be premature depending on the team. But, if a team doesn't have a second quarterback yet or like one that they can really trust, then maybe offering one of those other quarterbacks on his bench to see if he can get some fab for it at the very least. I don't know if he'll get a running back for a quarterback that planning to use weeks down the road. So, but maybe some fab. Maybe you can probably peel like an extra $15 for something like that. Maybe.
Yep, absolutely. And that's something that I'm glad you brought up because I wanted to make sure we talked about at some point today. Is that if you're sitting on the 3 quarterback scenario, like myself and a couple other teams that we've talked about so far, where you had it was just basically you got yourself a really good quarterback for free. So you picked one up and you have a third one now. And you're at that point where there's teams that don't have a second quarterback yet. And we're getting close enough to the playoffs where they're going to start to get that in their mind now. Like, oh man, I forgot we're going to Superflex, or, oh, we're going to Superflex. I need to make sure I have a good quarterback. And there's not a lot of them available. And there's situations right now where you can go to a guy who's sitting without a backup and just say, hey, look, and we're going to Superflex at playoffs. Do you want this quarterback for a few dollars? Because I'll give them to you right now for just like $10 or $15 or whatever you can get. I mean, you can see where people are at. $10-15 can go a long way right now.
For sure.
So, yeah, it's definitely a thought right there. And I'm glad you mentioned that. Joe Burrow, we're going to run through this. We already ran through Marie Antoinette's team, but just real quick, is there anything that stands out to you on his team at all that would maybe be like something he should either target, or do you think that he's in a good position right now where he doesn't really need to do too much? He's currently sitting with 37 in Fab, so he could make some moves if he needs to, but I don't
Running
really.
back, it's running back for him too. I mean, Kareem Hunt's days are numbered, but I think he still has
Yeah.
another week or two before you really have to worry about that because I still think that Pacheco's situation is kind of in that limbo phase, or at least just still in recovery.
Yeah, I mean,
And
they're saying that end of the month and then maybe even bleeding into December before he's getting back on the field. So it's not, the 8-week time frame like we initially had heard. So
But do you think he's viable after Pacheco returns? Because granted, all the injuries have forced their hand to play Kelsey more right now, but they've been wanting to save Kelsey. But do you think that since they have Kareem Hunt and he's been playing well, do you think they kind of put them in a timeshare, which caps both their ceilings at the same time, but it keeps them both fresh for the playoffs? They're all about winning, so.
I've thought about that a little bit, but then you look at what Kareem Hunt's been doing there, and he's been consistent, knocking off yardage. They even mentioned it today, actually, but he's not knocking off like big runs like what Pacheco's capable of. So like there's times where Pacheco will break it for 35, 40 yards, and Kareem Hunt's getting 10, 15. And that's rare. So it's one of those things where I think that he'll have a role, but I think it'll literally just be that spell guy role, and it won't be a lot more, especially once Pacheco kind of gets his feet wet after a few weeks. So by mid-December, as long as he plays before, December actually starts, if he's, at least on the field and potentially limited practice and out there for a timeshare kind of scenario for a week, I think by that second week or so in December, I think you can fire him up, and Kareem Hunt will still be somebody to keep on your roster, but I wouldn't more than a handcuff.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's still some standalone value though.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, if he gets any kind of goal line work, that's going to depend on where they're at with that. They don't really like throwing him the ball much. They only did it once today, and they used him quite a bit.
And then put Jimmy's roster back up real quick. Marie Antoinette.
Oh yeah, Timmy Lojos.
Yeah. And then Chuba, like he's been serviceable too. We don't know exactly what the team plan is for John Brooks. I mean, his practice window's been open, so that is also a scenario like Kareem Hunt where it's like what's going to happen with how much work they're going to give the kid, but he's been so serviceable. Like I don't think his role should change too much. But Josh Jacobs been very underwhelming. Granted, he got another 95 yards, but you don't get in the box, man. There's those numbers are pretty middling. So I think he can use like a guy that can really carry that running back slot for him. He's got Jettas, he's got Downs, McBride. He's pretty much set everywhere else.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one too. I agree. I think that they're both in good positions. TB definitely needs to get himself some good depth there. Otherwise, he's going to be struggling moving in next week.
But I will say Josh Jacobs has more TD regression coming. I think so. I mean, he scored 2 the week before. I think there's going to be some of those weeks coming up.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So here's Trevor's team. So let's go over real quick. We got Lynn J M and Tortoise. This is our buddy Trevor here. So Trevor is sitting currently with $33 in Fab, and I think he's got a decent roster. Let's run through it real quick. Lamar Jackson, David Montgomery, Kyron Williams, Malik Neighbors, Tyreek Hill, Mark Andrews, Brian Thomas, and JSN are his starters. On his bench, he has Rico Dowdle, Rashid White, Tank Bigsby, DeAndre Hopkins, Keenan Allen, and Mike Evans, and George Kittle. So he's got a pretty solid roster. The thing that sticks out to me, no quarterback, no second quarterback. So just like we talked
that team
about,
where I think it was TB, right? That had the 3 quarterbacks. TB, Chiefs Life may be your team.
Yep, Tortoise is your trade partner, and I know he likes to make trades. So feel free to
reach Tortoise. My bad.
Yep, especially if he doesn't snag a quarterback this week in the pickups. So that's definitely something to think about. Otherwise, I think he's got a pretty solid setup. I don't really see a whole lot of needs for him otherwise. So I think if I'm him, I get the quarterback that's out there right now, and I just pay an extra few bucks because most likely these teams aren't going to be targeting a quarterback right now because they're not thinking that extra quarterback yet. So as far as Lynn JM's team,
excuse me, sorry.
Sam Darnold, Jerome Ford, Brees Hall, Marvin Harrison, Romeo Dobbs, Brock Bowers, Robinson, and Douglas as his flexes or her flexes. So that's the starting roster as of right now. Let's double check the bench and see if there's anything on the bench. Otherwise, we got Brock Purdy, Braylon Allen, Najee Harris, Joey Chestnut, Tyler Boyd, Debo Samuel, Elijah Moore. So there's some roster pieces on the bench from bye weeks, so that explains a little bit about who was in the roster starting spots. But I definitely see a need there for some movement as far as getting some good depth and building yourself up a little bit of a team so you're not on the chopping block going forward. So I would say, where's Lynn JM at? They actually have the second most fab right now fob left. So $56. I would definitely use some of that this week. Yeah. I think this is the week for her to make a move.
Yeah, Darnold almost like he ended the day really well, but he for the majority of that game he looked so shaky again. And then the rest of his roster is kind of. I mean, who'd have thought Demarcus Robinson is just an alpha though, man? Like, I think he had 2 games where he's like scoring some late touchdowns or getting multiple touchdowns even.
So I do think that the game this week is slightly fool's gold after Puka got knocked out of the game. I think he got a bigger role for the rest of the game.
Yeah, for sure. There was another game though where he shined out too, and it's like I had him in another league where like I had to start him. I had no choice but to start him, and he ended up winning me a week. I think it was just like a week or 2 ago. It wasn't that long ago, but he had another like surprise week. So he's popped up there. But who out of all the times he was with the Chiefs, like he was just a wind sprinter. Now he's like showing out and getting some good run with the Rams.
Right. So we've got the last league in here which might be the team that's getting knocked out. We'll double check that afterwards here. We've got Matthew Stafford, Bijan Robinson, Jonathan Taylor, Puka Nacua, Xavier Worthy. Yeah, terrible. Kyle Pitts, J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift. And then on the bench, we've got C.J. Stroud, Travis Etienne, another disappointment for the season, Jordan Mason, Jalen McMillan, Romeo Dobbs, DK Metcalf, and T. Higgins. So, and if I do remember correctly, I'm going to go click off just to double check. But yes, this is the team that is eliminated. So I'm sorry, Thrill Kill, but you are out of here, buddy. Go on. Get out. Go on.
Cheers, my friend.
We'll see you later, buddy. I think you're still alive in one league, though, so it's not over quite yet. The Bat Lady hasn't sung. You haven't gotten your 3rd strike, as far as I can remember, but you definitely got 2, at least in this league. So that's the roster that's available, and it's kind of brutal if you look right next door here because Bijan he just got. So he got and picked up Bijan on just like a week that was just like right at the end for him, and he didn't even get a real good chance of using it. And it's pretty frustrating when that happens if you're somebody in that position.
God dang, $29 and $27 for Amon-Ra and Neighbors. That's
I know. So especially when we know Amon-Ra went for 127, I think, in week 1 to me. When that first week, I bought him for 127 after the original knockout. So that tells you how these things work out as it goes along. Thrill Kill overpaid by about $14 too. So he kind of got that triple whammy there. Amon only went for 29 to Chiefs Life, which is a really big pickup for him. Thrill Kill tried to get him, but he couldn't pick him up because he used the same dropper. So yeah, he ended up snagging him for a good price there, $29. Neighbors for $27, I think, is a steal also. Even though Neighbors had a bad week, I don't think it's going to be indicative of the rest of the season. So I think that's a nice pickup also. DJ Moore for $21, I think it's a solid pickup. Kareem Hunt for $9 so far. That looks all right, huh? K Doggy Dog for $5. Got Dalton Kincaid for $5. Stafford took Thrill Kill for $5, going right back on the waiver wire. Unfortunately, same thing with Brooks for $3. And he got Hawk for $2. I think that could turn out to be a really good pickup. Poor Thrill Kill killed himself picking up Worthy for free. That's the pickup that cost in there. But
it's still negative because he got negative points even though he got it for free. Negative returns.
Oh, brutal.
Even on a freebie. That's so sad.
Oh, that's brutal.
Like,
There's
even
not
Adam
much.
Thielen outscored him this week, and he was
I
on
know.
IR.
So did Sterling Shepard.
Oh my goodness.
That's so funny, man. Oh, jeez. So that's unfortunate for Pitts happens, but that's going to be fortunate for everybody else because that's some good players there available for you guys to split the bid on. So we'll be interested to see how much they go for next time around.
For sure.
So we'll move on to our third and final league as far as the guillotines are concerned. This is our Legends of Sleepy Hollow League. Ooh. Good time of the year for this league. So this is the one league that I am still alive in. As you can see, my team is listed there. I was actually battling our buddy Trevor there, so we got to stare at each other's teams all week watching our scores. Thankfully, neither of us was too far in the weeds to have to worry about it in this league. We are all okay. We looked pretty safe for this one. The one that's interesting about this league is that there is not a lot of FOB left out there at all for the players that are still alive in this league. So you're going to see as we go through this, it's going to be pretty interesting for you. We don't need to really run through my team too much. I've got Josh Allen, Kyron Williams, Devon Achan, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyle Pitts, Chase Brown, and Jonathan Taylor. That's my starting roster. And then on my bench, I have Jared Goff, Jordan Love, Austin Eckler, Calvin Ridley, Deontay Johnson, T. Higgins, and Khalil Shakir. So I'm feeling pretty decent about my squad where I'm sitting right now. I have only $13 in FOB, so I can't really do a whole lot right now this week at all. So I'm just kind of hanging in there and seeing how things go. But I don't think I really need to make too much of a move either.
No, I thought your roster is pretty stout, man. I mean, Marvin Harrison just needs to get. I mean, I wish I knew more of like why he's being used and the way he's used, or is it something with him? Is there a rift with him and his coaches? I don't know. Is he not trying?
I just think it's Kyler Murray. You just can't see him. I think Kyler Murray has a hard time finding him in the field, man. He's wide open a lot of times, and Murray just is not throwing him the ball.
It's just a weird – yeah, there's just no – there's the connection's just not there. You know how Mahomes and Kelsey just know how they're going to, break off certain routes. I mean, that could just be built with time. He's supposed to be there for the future. Kyler's there for the future. So hopefully they get it together, but it's just like the guy's so talented. You can see it. He's there. I don't think there's a question.
Yeah, if Kyler would just drop back and fling the ball instead of patting, and then running around, he would fling the ball. He's open 90% of the time. Kyler's just not the type of quarterback who drops back and flings the ball. He always wants to pat it, make sure the guys are open and then run around. And it's like, dude, sometimes you just got to trust the receiver is going to be where he's supposed to be and fling
playing
the ball.
In rhythm is not something that he does well.
No, he's very Russell Wilson-like in that aspect.
Yeah, so that's probably that has probably a big thing to do with it. But
I agree, 100%. It's frustrating for all of us fantasy owners, but it's definitely
I'm one of them
every week with him.
Yeah,
but hey, what's up, Zoobs? We got Zoobs coming in. How's it going, my friend?
I'm still in.
You're in this league, so if you want to jump on in, you got the link in the Discord. You're welcome to join us. Otherwise, you can just listen to us yammer on about your squad and tear it apart. It's totally up to you if you want to let us do that.
Dude, feeding frenzy then, dude. It's up to you.
Right? Well, let's run through Tortoise's team real quick. He's got a decent squad. I also believe in this league. He's got Hurts, Brees Hall, Tyrone Tracy, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyreek Hill, Trey McBride, Cortland Sutton, and Christian Watson as his starting lineup right now. On his bench, he has Tua Tagovailoa, Joe Burrow, Jordan Mason, Michael Wilson, Amari Cooper, George Pickens, and Tank Dell. And then as far as his FOB is concerned, he is currently sitting at $11 just behind me. So I feel like he could use a little bit of depth, specifically at running back with the uncertainty with Mason moving forward. And he really doesn't have any other running back besides Hall and Tyrone Tracy beyond them. So I would make a move for a running back, but he doesn't have a ton of FOB to do it. So for him, I would probably just, be bidding a little bit on him and hope I get somebody, but I don't really have much of a choice.
Who's his other receivers? Because I'm not really enthused about his receivers. I mean, granted, Nuke, if he could continue this, then I don't think he really needs to worry about it. But I'm not sure yet.
He's got Watson, Sutton, Hill, Hopkins, Cooper, Pickens, and Dell.
Yeah, he's fine a receiver. Yeah, he's totally fine.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's an RB scenario for him.
Yeah, just more of an insurance,
decent
not necessarily a starter. Yeah.
He could turn around and flip a guy like Hurts or Burrow right now keep the other one and flip one and get himself some fob if he wants to.
I do like Tracy though, rest of season as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tyrone Tracy is going to take over that backfield and for the time being.
He already has.
And basically, it's basically just going to be Tracy for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I mean, Singletary will still have a role when healthy just because him and Dable are boys. He's just like his guy.
Yeah. So this is we'll start here with, we got Ludes and C-Bomb, two of our regulars here. We got our supreme being on the podcast realm of Ballsville. That is Scott, our Ludes for Sale, our host of our main Ballsville podcast, and C-Bomb, our co-host of this podcast, who's been MIA on a secret mission for the last month. Should be back next week. We'll see. They both scored pretty well this week, so they probably got pretty solid rosters. Currently, C-Bomb is sitting at $21 in FOB, so he's decent with FOB. And he has Lamar Jackson, Rashid White, Tony Pollard, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Travis Kelce, Zay Flowers, and Keenan Allen in his starting lineup right now. And he's got on his bench, he's got Zach Moss, Travis Etienne, Brian Robinson, Jalen McMillan, Debo Samuel, Jordan Addison, and Sam Laporta. So right out the gate, I'm looking at this roster, and I'm seeing a need at receiver with the loss of Olave. So I could use another running back because I'm not 100 that
sure.
Rashid White. So do you see
anything
else?
Why do you say Rashid though? I just want to know.
What's that?
Why do you say Rashid?
I always have, and it's a tick now, and I can't stop myself. Okay. I know it's Rashad, but I always say Rashid, and it's just
because you say the double A's, man. I was gonna say it's double A. You say shot and FOB, so I'm just like, I got you. I had to say it, dude. I was like, you can't tell me the double A's if you're not gonna use it.
When he can average more than 4 yards or more than 3 yards a carry, then I'll start calling him Rashad.
Dude, he was like,
he was gonna be Rashid.
I don't think he was out there for a full quarter tonight.
What's that?
There was overall, like a period where like a buddy of mine was like, "Is Rashad White like injured or something?" And then all of a sudden he shows up towards the end of the game. Like he was not getting any carries. He got a couple. Obviously, he got a lot of passing work late in the game, but I think he ended the game with 3 or 4 carries. I don't even think he had that many.
Click his name. 3 carries for 19.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, if he didn't get the TD, he wouldn't have had any kind of fantasy production. But because he only had 3 catches for 16 yards, also, so he really didn't have a
game, and he's supposed to be their quote unquote at least their starter, right? So it's kind of that's a little worrisome right there.
What it looked like to me was they played him in the first and fourth, and Bucky throughout the middle of the game.
Well, Sean Tucker got carries. I think Sean Tucker out carried him.
Yeah, I think he did. I think you're right.
So
I would be making some moves if I was C-Bomb, and luckily he's got $21 in FOB right now, and he's sitting in pretty decent shape because honestly, in this league, get this, the number one guy with FOB left in this league is our buddy Zoobs at $33. That's the top guy. That's the top dollar amount left in the league. So there's really not a lot of money out there right now in this league at all. So it's definitely a different scenario than those other leagues we talked about.
Well, actually, Sean Tucker only had 3 carries as well. Jeez, they didn't run the ball that much. That way.
No, I mean that's been their MO this season. It feels like too,
which is weird though that they don't have their main weapons at receiver, and yet they're only running the ball like 16 times.
Right. So,
so they almost won. So we can't argue with it.
Right. And as far as the Ludes for Sale, Scott's squad, who's currently right now, Scott is sitting at $0 in FOB. So Scott is broke. This guy has no money, as Scott would like to say, shekels. So we're looking at his roster as basically a one and done through the playoffs at this point, unless he makes a few moves trade-wise or free guys. So he's got Matthew Stafford, Derrick Henry, Kareem Hunt, Drake London, Cooper Kupp, Tucker Kraft, Devontae Smith, and Chuba Hubbard are his starters currently. On his bench, he has C.J. Stroud, Raheem Mostert, Rico Dowdle, Najee Harris, Juju Smith-Schuster, Quentin Johnston, and Hunter Henry. So I look at that roster, and knowing I have no FOB, I'm a little bit concerned, just because of I don't see a lot of depth, and there's some injuries that have hit his receiver position. So if Drake London stays out for a little while, Kareem Hunt takes a back seat in a few weeks, he might be struggling here coming around like week 12, 13 to try to make it through those last couple rounds of cutoffs. Unless he does something to get his FOB up and running, and he makes a move to trade or do something like that. So I've actually talked to him about it, and he knows where he's at, and he's also already like slightly concerned about it, and trying to figure out what his next move is going to be.
Are you counseling?
No, I just talked to him about it because he asked.
Oh.
Anybody ask me a question, I'm gonna help him out, man. I'm not gonna be that kind of guy, bro. I'm always down to help out the homies.
Of course. Hey, yeah, drop some more questions in Discord, guys. I mean, we're always here to offer some advice for your leagues, for your teams.
Right. And if you throw comments and questions in the comments here too, we'll talk about them live on the air while we're going through this stuff too, guys. No problem.
It doesn't have to necessarily be start sit too. It could just be player takes, like or outlooks, rest of season, playoff runs, playoff scheduling. We'll get into that. I'm sure that'll be definitely a segment on future pods as we gear towards playoffs, and we'll start talking about like prioritizing, optimizing rosters for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then as we go through here too, we're reading off all the teams right now. This is going to take less and less time as there's less and less teams, so we'll have more time to discuss others, particulars about what we're going to do. And it's going to start to get really like strategic too. So we'll have a lot of talking points to go over. So definitely looking forward to that. So we got the next two squads in this league that are still going strong. It's Mean Machine 922 and Short Stack 11, who's in a bunch of our leagues, one of our regulars. So we'll start with Mean Machine 922. He is currently sitting with a whopping 9 shekels right now. So he's not really able to do a whole lot, so let's see if his roster is going to be able to carry him. Currently starting, he's got Jaden Daniels, Jameer Gibbs, J.K. Dobbins, Malik Neighbors, A.J. Brown, Brock Bowers, Brian Thomas Jr., and Nick Chubb. And on his bench, he has Bo Nix, Tajay Spears, Xavier Legette, Mike Evans, Romeo Dobbs, Wandell Robinson, and Dalton Kincaid. So is there anything that stands out to you on this one, JoJo?
Sorry, brother. I had it out of I'll need to look at the roster again. I had it.
Oh, no problem. I'll give it a breakdown real quick. So just the thing that look to me, it looks like he's pretty solid as far as his starters are concerned. AJ Brown being out is definitely a scary deal. I think he could use another running back for depth for sure, and I would probably want to upgrade my next wide receiver until I get Mike Evans back. So that would be 2 positions I would target, but being that he's only got 9 shekels, I don't know how much he's going to be able to get with it. So it's kind of where I'm at in that squad.
You're either going to throw the $9 out or just kind of wait it out, or maybe just throw a freebie here and there for some guys that might make it through the bidding phase, so to speak. But
and that's something that all you guys should do too. If you got no money, just go out there and put a claim in. You never know if these guys aren't going to get bid on. If they don't get any bids on, and you're sitting at the top spot in the waiver order, then you're going to end up getting one of these guys. So, always put a bid in, even if you're out of money.
1,000%.
So as far as Short Stack 11 is currently sitting on 0 shekels. So he is one of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are alive with no money. So that is a really interesting setup here in this league.
What? Let me ask you this: what amount of fab would you want to have around week 10?
At this point in time, I mean, ideally, I would like to still be at the 50 mark, 50 to 30. Ideally, but I wouldn't. I think if I have more than 50 left, I either got really lucky with my draft and I had, not having to worry about spending a lot of money on players and was able to survive, or I did something wrong and I'm lucky to still be alive. So, that's
like our friend Extreme Experience. I mean, the guy's just he's living up to that name, man. It's been an extreme experience just watching him go week to week.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if he gets his butt in here and actually goes and looks at the league right now, he could basically take the entire roster that's available.
He really could. He could literally win this whole league now.
The top 3 players off of every team for the next 3 straight weeks and literally stack the most depth-ridden team, the hardest team for sure, best team in the league, and nobody can do anything about it.
And literally taking him for your bench is still a strategic move because you're taking it away from other teams. Even if you don't start them. I mean, granted, you're going to have to start the right guys, but I think you can stack your roster so much that even some of those decisions are still
in a prime spot. If he was smart, he'd get his butt in there and this
really
week go in there and be like, oh, who's the top guys? Okay, I'm just make sure I get that guy. And then next week, same thing. Make sure I get that guy, that guy, that guy. And like his roster by the time playoffs come around, will be unbeatable.
And who'd have thought after trading Tyreek Hill the first week, here he's in this
$67 in Xavier Worthy.
Gotta love fantasy, man. Gotta love it.
Right? Especially because of the blow up that it created in the league and then how it actually spun all the way back around full circle now.
And and Xavier Worthy with a -1 today, too. He's still alive. Unbelievable.
Right. All right. Short stack 11's roster is. Yeah, right. No worries. Joe Flacco is his starting quarterback this week, but I'm sure he's got somebody on his bench. We'll see here in a second. Joe Mixon, David Montgomery, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, David Njoku, Bucky Irving, and Jalen Tolbert were the starters. On his bench, he has Geno and Caleb Williams, so he has a backup quarterback without a problem there. Tank Bigsby, DK Metcalf, Juwan Jennings, Jamison Williams, and Dallas Goedert are players.
Oh, red.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to get back Williams next week. He's going to get back Metcalf, hopefully within the next week or two at the latest. So I don't think it's horrible bad as far as receivers is concerned. Looking at his running back depth, he's got Mixon and Monty, and Bucky. So he's probably okay there. He doesn't really have to go crazy. So, which is a good thing considering that, he's broke. So, yeah, I think that he's sitting okay. I think he'll be able to survive, but I'd be a little worried as the weeks progress here, the next 2-3 weeks before the playoffs start, and really be like kind of, pinching cheeks every Sunday, hoping that I don't have a bad roster week.
Exactly. Yeah. He's kind of got a roster where it's, I'm trying to think of like an analogy here, but it's just in that like okay phase, I think he's like taking time on. Maybe it could be one of those things. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So this is B Bennett RBS, and he is alive, and he is so far up the list that I totally forgot about this guy. He is actually the right under Zubakis at $29 in FOB. So he is right there close to the top. So he's got some money that he can play with. Let's see what his roster looks like, though. He's got Baker Mayfield, Bijan Robinson, James Conner, Michael Pittman, Jaden Reed, Zach Ertz, Jacoby Myers, and DeAndre Swift are his starters. On his bench, he has Justin Herbert, Brock Purdy, Braylon Allen, Josh Downs, TJ Hawkinson, Cole Kmet, and Pat Freiermuth. So what sticks out to you on that one? I know what it is for me, but I want to see if you're with me on it.
Obviously, I think he can be looking to start TJ if he's getting a full boat there. So I think he's okay at tight end. He's obviously got quarterbacks. I'd say receiver is probably where he can use more help.
Yep, that's exactly where I was at.
I like Josh Downs, man. I don't know why people keep trying to hold out Pope for Pittman. I'm not seeing it. So that's my take.
Yep, I'm with you on that one. I definitely think Pittman is a sit until further notice guy at this point. So moving on to the next two squads, we got TB76 and Zoobs, our buddy Zoobs. So that Zoobs is sitting with $33 in FOB. He is right there near the top. So he's got some money to play with and can make some moves. Does he have a roster that needs it? He's got Sam Darnold, Alvin Kamara, Ken Walker, Jalen Waddle, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Mark Andrews, Darnell Mooney, Ramondre Stevenson starting for him this week. On his bench, he has Dak Prescott, Tyler Algier, Troy Franklin, Ricky Pearsall, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, and George Kittle.
Wide receiver.
Yep. Wide receiver for sure. I would probably attack running back. Well, he's got Stevenson, Mara Walker.
Mara Walker. I think he's fine there. And Stevenson's a pretty good third option.
I might spend a couple shekels to make sure I snag the quarterback that's coming available too, just to make sure that Prescott's out.
I would go receiver, quarterback, running back in that order if you were able to find options on the eliminated roster to do that, Zoobs.
Yeah, 100%. TB76 is sitting with Kurt. He's got no shekels, so he's going to have this roster moving forward. He's got Kirk Cousins, Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Jamar Chase, DJ Moore, Cade Otton, Aaron Jones, and Justin Jefferson. On his bench, he has Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Alexander Madison, Devin Singletary, Lad McConkey, Jerry Jeudy, and Dalton Schultz. So not a lot of depth, but a really good starting roster.
Yeah, definitely starting roster. He's good there.
Yeah, no injuries. He could go. He could compete all the way with that roster, no problem.
I mean, Josh Jacobs on bye next week. Who else might be on bye for him? Because that could create some things here as far as who's the starters going into next week. So if Josh Jacobs on bye, who's another running back? Oh, he would move Aaron Jones up, and then who's a flex?
He's got
Lad
Madison.
McConkey, probably Lad McConkey in the flex.
Yeah, probably
okay.
Lad.
I mean, I would still probably go running back then for him if he has any shekels left. God damn,
he's broke.
Scott's got us saying shekels every time now.
He broke. He broke.
He broke.
He broke. He got nothing.
Hey man, just try to throw a bit out. Just see
right. And we already talked about me and Trevor's squad. So the last team that is in the list today, which is also our team of the week.
Where's my Lysol, man? I forgot. Where's spraying it right now? I'm sorry. Spray that for
it's starting to stinky up in here because we got to go through a turdy team.
Hey, hold your nose.
I'm sorry, Cam. It sucks.
Stinky up in here.
I know how we need to get our nose plugs and move forward. My eyes are already watering. So let's see what roster is going to be available for everybody on this squad.
We've got definitely 2 Buffalo Bills on this roster.
Yep. We got Kyler Murray, James Cook, Javonte Williams, Terry McLaurin, Keon Coleman, Evan Ingram, Cedric Tillman, and Puka Nacua. And then on his bench, you have Jameis Winston, Jalen Warren, Xavier Worthy, Tyler Lockett, DeMarcus Robinson, Dontavion Wicks, and Jake Ferguson.
Okay.
So there's some solid players to snag off of that roster. As you saw, there's really not a ton of money in this league. So it's not like there's going to be a lot of expense necessary to snag these good players. I think Cook, McLaurin, Ingram, if you need a tight end, Puka, those are some players that are going to cost some money.
Yeah, those are the 3 main ones. Everybody else, I mean, you're going to probably have you should just be single digits or free.
Yeah. I mean, and look at what you could see what's gone on in this league. This was last week's roster pickups.
Except for the 54.
Yeah, Saquon going for $54 is, Saquon, right? Jamar Chase.
That move he put on, and that reverse hurdle. Whew.
Dude, that was crazy. Me and Sarah were actually live when that happened, too. It was unbelievable, dude. I couldn't believe what I saw. It was just ridiculous. I don't think I've ever seen anybody do something like that before.
Not at all.
Not even in like high school games or anything. Like
not even in Madden. They don't even have that feature yet in Madden. Reverse hurdle? Come on now.
Well, they will now. They're going to add the Barkley. Don't you worry. But J.K. Dobbins went for 15. That turned out to be a good pickup this week. Mark Andrews for 11. Ramondre for 6. Another good pickup this week. Debo for 5, which, being on a bye, that makes sense, but still a solid pickup for $5.
100%. I'm big on Debo rest of season without Ayuk. It's a small sample size, but a lot of the underlying data, like him, like 30 plus target shares without Ayuk on the field. C-Bomb got a great pickup there.
Yeah, absolutely. Mari Cooper for $2, another good pickup. Even though he didn't play this week, he'll be a good player move forward. Deontay Johnson, same thing. Romeo Dobbs for $2. I don't like dropping Jordan Addison. Honestly, I feel like that I would have kept Addison over Dobbs.
Yeah, they're kind of the same.
Yeah, Bucky Irvin over Sean Tucker for sure, especially when you're getting it for free. There's really everything else. You could see there really wasn't any money involved in these pickups.
Yeah, nothing. Aside from James Cook, Evan Ingram, and I'm blanking on the other name, but they should probably be some money, and then everybody else should be free, based on what I'm seeing here. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I could see DeMarcus Robinson going for a few bucks based on what's going on with him. But him and Puka probably end up going around the same amount. Actually,
Puka. Yeah.
So I definitely think there'll be some money spent, and there's not a lot of money to spend. So if those few teams that have it spend it, and we're looking at down the road, it's going to be a lot of fun trying to get it because you can get really good players soon for really cheap. So it's going to be a fun game to keep an eye on, especially next week's FOB. See how that plays out.
Yeah.
And that is our final Guillotine League. So the last the last one that we got to cover is the triathlon game. And that is now officially, for sure, 100% cutting 2 teams this week, starting our guillotine. This is 100 for sure happening. So let's look at the league and see if it updated for us as of yet. And it looks like
I'm number 20.
oh man, dude.
Dude, it's so bad. It was such a terrible team.
Yeah, you definitely ended up in a bad spot. So JoJo and JM Hubs, D-Pain survived by the skin of his teeth at the last second. Look at that with the 1-point win, or the 1 win leaves JM Hubs out in the cold.
God,
man. Poor JoJo at the bottom of the list, bro. We should call you the third team of the week.
This is probably the worst team ever assembled. In all honesty, I think I remember when we drafted this. I remember it was just I got the notification that it was like, oh, it's a free league, and it was like at the bare end of the draft season, and I'm like, okay, I'll do it, and then I think I might have auto picked the first couple picks because I was not prepared for the draft to start or anything like that. I'm trying to remember, and then yeah, so this is kind of what happens when you don't pay attention when you draft. Lesson learned. Right.
Yeah, next year in the triathlon league, he's going to be a lot more focused, guys.
So, well, 100%. Yeah, I don't want this to happen again.
Yeah, so this is the players that we're going to get from our good friend JoJo here, who's been just so nice to give us all these good players. We got Caleb Williams, Devon Achan, Zach Charbonnet, Roma Dunze, Devontae Adams, Noah Gray, Jordan Whittington. On his bench, he had Spencer Rattler, Ray Davis, Will Shipley, Juwan Jennings, Jameson Williams, Kobe Parkinson, and then in his IR spot, he had Aiden O'Connell, Justin Fields, and Isaiah Pacheco. So there's some interesting players in there. Pacheco is going to be a fun one to watch based on his IR status and whether or not he's going to cost him money or not, and if anybody's going to actually go for him based on what's going on. But Achan for sure is going to be a guy that goes for good money. Adams, I think, will be going for some good money. I think Rome will still go for something. Being the first week, there's going to be people.
JMO might since he's coming back.
Yeah, JMO also. So there's just some decent players on there that we're going to get our hands on. And then not only that team, but JM Hubs also out of here, man. Sucks to be you guys. Busted out on the first week, but it's got to be something, right? So I'm just glad it's not me, and I'm sorry it had to be you. He's got a decent enough roster, too. He's got Matthew Stafford, Jahmyr Gibbs, Joey Chestnut. I keep saying Joey Chestnut. I don't even care. I'm not even going to fix it. Jalen Waddle, Keenan Allen, TJ Hawkinson, Puka Nacua, Andy Dalton, Dante Foreman, Najee Harris, Khalil Herbert, Ray McLeod, and Isaiah Likely. He had Brandon Cooks on injury reserve, which is not going to matter. So
really I mean, Gibbs and Nacua really. And
Najee.
Yeah, Najee.
I think TJ will go for $1 or $2 at least because he's coming on after his injury and he actually played. So I think people will be liking that. I think Stafford will go for a few bucks.
Granted, this is 20 teams, so yeah, there should only be about maybe 2 or 3 main guys on a roster where, unless you hit on most of your other picks in your draft. But yeah, so about like a handful total where it helps at least maybe a handful of teams and how you want to spend that fab. Good luck to you guys.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting scenario. I mean, I definitely am excited to see how this plays out. This is going to be a fun one for us to keep an eye on as we go forward here and see what happens with these guillotine portions and what maybe changes need to happen next year to make it more interesting and competitive and, whatever else is going to happen as we continue to grow this baby of ours. So it's exciting. And that's all of our leagues for today, man. Thanks for sticking by, JoJo. I know we kind of bled over a little longer than I planned, but we had to go through that Braveheart League a little bit more for those guys. They deserve that.
Yeah, exactly. Just wish I was in more guillotines, but I probably wouldn't have survived anyway. Maybe it's not my format, but hey, it's my first time, so I'll be learning.
Yeah, it just takes a little practice
for next year.
Yep, that's all it is. Just takes a little practice. I mean, we'll have more of them available next year, and we'll have a lot more of the triathlon and a different setup with that too. That'll make it real fun too. So you'll be getting a lot of practice in this guillotines as we move forward.
There you go.
As will all of you. So So that's going to be our show for today, guys. Thanks for joining us. Just want to make sure before we go to mention the fundraiser that we are still doing. We're gonna bring it to a complete tomorrow at the end of the pod. We have a few more packs we're gonna open for D-Pain live on the air and pod tomorrow night, and then we'll finish out with our raffle. So if you guys want to get in on any of these cards that are being offered up, please feel free to do so between now and Tuesday so that we can offer up any raffles that have enough entries. So again, go to the donation GoFundMe. It's at theballsvillegame.com. There's links for the GoFundMe to go donate. Even if you don't want to get in the raffle, just donate for Jimbo's Bimbos. The man could really use all the help he can get right now, what he's going through out there, fighting this, hurricane scenario. And, who knows what's going on with it, whether it sounds like there might even be some more bad weather on the way. Hopefully it misses him completely. But he's going to be in our prayers and thoughts. And, hopefully if you have the opportunity, go and help out with the GoFundMe. It's all going directly to him. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining us. We will see you guys tomorrow at 4 p.m. Best Coast time, I like to say, for our regular Ballsville pod episode. For myself, Sean, and my co-host today, JoJo. Thank you guys so much for being here, and we will see you guys next time.